can't imagine there's many people that think Dillon Gabriel's a better quarterback than Shedeur Sanders. I don't care where they were drafted. And if the Browns are the one team that thinks that, then I'm going to suspect it's not true. They don't know what
listen,
they're
They've been on every quarterback evaluation for 30 years.
Right.
I never root against anybody.
Yeah.
But I'd be surprised if Dillon Gabriel's ever a legitimate starting quarterback for the Cleveland.
Dillon Gabriel was supposed to be the safe bet, the polished guy, the NFL-ready supercomputer everyone said would breeze past Shedeur Sanders. But when the lights came on, he didn't just slip, he unraveled. He opened strong. The media was already celebrating. But just minutes into his very first NFL preseason debut, the narrative completely changed. One pick six, one fumbled handoff, and suddenly, all that hype, dead silent. Meanwhile, the one name everyone tried to bury, Shedeur Sanders, quietly refused to go away. And now, fans are asking the question those in Cleveland media don't want to hear. Was this whole competition ever actually fair? Because you can watch the tape, check the reps, read the stats, and still miss the real story if you're not looking closely. This video isn't just about what Dillon Gabriel did wrong. It's about what the media covered up, who they tried to protect, and how Shedeur Sanders might have just flipped the QB battle without even starting a game.
Like a lot of bootlegs and a lot of bootlegs where nobody was really open. And he just kind of had to throw it away.
Before Dillon Gabriel ever took an NFL snap, the hype machine had already crowned him. Analysts called him a supercomputer under center, a quarterback with elite processing speed, high football IQ, and surgical decision-making. Just listen to the way Browns insiders talked. Gabriel was labeled decisive, sharp, and smart. Not flashy, not dangerous, just safe. And that's exactly what terrified Shedeur fans. Because while Shedeur Sanders was being picked apart for every missed throw in practice, Gabriel was given full access. More first-team reps, more media love, more leash. For weeks, the story was that Shedeur was behind him in the race. Not because he was playing worse, but because Dillon was ready now. But let's be real. The difference wasn't preparation. It was narrative control.
Right guard, you can play for that. When it's a quarterback, you kind of need that muscle to throw. So unfortunately, going to put him down for a little bit here. We'll treat it day to day and see how he responds. But want to be smart because he's a thrower, so you can't.
Gabriel got every chance to succeed. He was marketed like he'd already arrived. And the Browns media didn't just support him, they pushed him as the rightful competitor. The one with command, polish, and supposedly the fewest risks. But when the real game started, none of that processing speed mattered. All that calm confidence got swallowed up by real NFL pressure. Suddenly, the guy who was supposed to think faster than everyone else couldn't even read the linebacker sitting right in his lane. And just like that, the supercomputer started glitching. At first, things actually looked good. Dillon Gabriel opened the game perfect. Quick reads, sharp passes, moving the ball efficiently. Within minutes, fans and media were already lighting up Twitter. Gabriel's got it. This is why he's ahead. You didn't even have to squint. He looked like a future backup quarterback with starter potential. But then something happened. Reality.
Gabriel remains in the game and up so far. And this one is picked.
On his very next series, the supercomputer completely crashed. He forced a throw into tight coverage without reading the linebacker. Boom! Pick six. Not just any pick either. A horrific, rookie-level read that ended up as 7 points for the defense. And 7 giant questions for the coaching staff. Then came the fumble. A routine handoff. Standard exchange. No trick play, no chaos. Just a QB putting the ball in the wrong place at the wrong depth. Resulting in a fumble credited to the running back, but caused by Gabriel. Let's break this down. 2 brutal turnovers in 8 plays. That's not just rookie jitters. That's a disqualifying moment for the guy who was supposed to be mistake-proof. And yet, if Shedeur had made those same mistakes, would the media have shrugged it off? Doubt it. Because while Gabriel was granted silence and excuses, Shedeur, he gets scorched just for scrambling out of the pocket. One guy got a pass, the other gets picked apart. When Dillon Gabriel threw that pick six, something strange happened. Nothing. No meltdown. No viral criticism. No, he's not ready talk. The same voices that hyped him up as an NFL-ready processor suddenly fell silent. Stat tweets vanished. Breakdown articles stopped mid-sentence. It was if the turnover never happened. Meanwhile, Shedeur Sanders can barely blink without it being dissected. He rolls out on a broken play. He's reckless. Misses one throw with a second-string unit during training camp. Not ready. Every move is analyzed under a microscope, as if he's already failed before he's even had a chance. And fans noticed. Screenshots of tweets comparing Dillon's mistakes to Shedeur's practice throws started flooding timelines. People began asking, why does one guy get excused while the other gets grilled? It wasn't subtle. It was a full-on media bias reveal, live, in real time. For every national journalist praising Gabriel's early completions, crickets followed once things unraveled. For every Shedeur critic saying he wasn't NFL ready, none of them addressed how Gabriel's turnovers came against soft coverage and familiar schemes. The narratives weren't even competing anymore. They were on different rule books. Dillon's errors were learning moments. Shedeur's progress was incomplete, and suddenly it wasn't about stats. It was about who the media wanted to win. When the box score becomes a distraction. By the end of the game, Dillon Gabriel's stat line didn't look terrible on paper. 13 for 18, 143 yards, 1 interception. Sounds solid, right? Efficient, productive, manageable. But that stat line is lying to you. Let's break it down. The completions, most were short, safe throws, designed rollouts, checkdowns, or one-read concepts. The yardage, front-loaded. Gabriel opened hot, but as the pressure built, the throws got shaky. And the interception, that's not just one mistake. It was a pick six, thrown directly into a zone he should have read pre-snap. That's the kind of decision that erases everything from earlier drives. And we're not even counting the fumbled exchange. It didn't hit his turnover column, so it gets buried. But coaches aren't fooled by stat sheets, and neither are fans who actually watch the tape. Meanwhile, while Gabriel was padding numbers early, Shedeur Sanders wasn't even getting first-team snaps at practice. No spotlight, no scripted success. And yet, in limited camp reps and preseason glimpses, he made smart decisions, protected the ball, and kept command under pressure against better defensive units. So why did the media crown Gabriel as more ready? Because they never looked at the details. They saw a nice box score and ignored the game-changing errors. Gabriel didn't just throw a pick. He threw away the narrative. The rookie who wasn't supposed to be ready. While Dillon Gabriel was melting down in plain sight, something unexpected happened on the sidelines. The guy who was too raw, not ready, and buried on the depth chart started turning heads he wasn't even supposed to turn. Shedeur Sanders. No first-team reps. No preseason favoritism. Still learning the system. Still taking reps behind third and fourth string linemen. And yet, calm, poised, patient, no panic. While others were forcing throws and fumbling handoffs, Shedeur was making smart decisions, reading the defense, and protecting the football. And fans noticed. Clips started surfacing online. Things like pocket presence, body language, ball placement, all things you rarely notice unless you're really looking, they all suggested the same thing. This kid doesn't play like a QB4. He plays like a future QB1. And all of a sudden, the tone shifted. Analysts who had written him off, quiet. Reporters who buried him behind Gabriel, now hedging their bets. Fans who were told to trust the supercomputer started asking, wait, why hasn't Shedeur gotten real reps yet? It wasn't just a performance shift, it was a perception collapse. The guy no one thought was ready didn't overperform. He just didn't mess up. And in a league where turnovers burn guys off rosters fast, that matters. Without even starting, Shedeur flipped the script. And now the guy with all the hype? He's suddenly looking over his shoulder. When the timeline turns into a war zone. The moment Shedeur Sanders flashed even a glimpse of poise, the internet knew what was coming before the media did. A narrative war. And within hours, it was everywhere. Fan pages, beat writer replies, Reddit threads, quote tweets. People started pulling receipts. All the tweets hyping up Dillon Gabriel as the most NFL-ready rookie? Throw right back in their faces. Every stat that ignored his turnovers, screenshotted, exposed, mocked. Where's the same energy for Shedeur? So Gabriel can throw a pick six and keep the job, but Sanders can't miss a check down? Let's be real. If Gabriel was named Shedeur, y'all would have already buried him. What started as a football debate spiraled into people calling out media bias, double standards, and, in some cases, uncomfortable questions about why a certain kind of quarterback gets more grace than another. Cleveland fans didn't hold back. They weren't just defending Shedeur. They were challenging the system. Because the truth became impossible to ignore. Gabriel's mistakes were treated as teachable. Sanders' learning curve was seen as a disqualifier. And suddenly, it didn't feel like a fair competition anymore. Even former players chimed in, subtly calling out the uneven coverage. One tweet went viral. Funny how Shedeur's reps get questioned, even when he hasn't thrown a pick. That's what happens when the fans stop listening to the insiders and start talking to each other. Experience was supposed to be Dillon Gabriel's advantage, until it wasn't. Let's talk context. Dillon Gabriel isn't some 20-year-old with raw tools and rookie nerves. He's a sixth-year college quarterback. This man has been in the game. UCF, Oklahoma, Oregon, multiple offensive systems, tons of reps, big stage matchups, over 160 snaps in Browns training camp. On paper, he should be light years ahead of Shedeur Sanders, who just left college, hasn't touched a single first-team rep, and is still adjusting to the speed of the NFL. So why is it that the veteran tossed a pick six to a rookie safety and fumbled a basic handoff on a day one install, while the behind-the-curve rookie protected the ball and kept the offense steady? No panic, no forced plays, no disasters. Shedeur just played quarterback. And honestly, that might have been the biggest surprise of all. Because without the reps, without the protection, without the media love, he's still doing the one thing that matters. You're not developing a project QB anymore. You're watching a player who may have already peaked. That's a different conversation. What if this was never about who played better? Strip away the stats. Forget the depth charts. Ignore the camp reps for a minute. Because underneath all of this, the foam breakdowns, the fan reactions, the conflicting media takes, there's a much bigger question sitting just beneath the surface. What if this entire QB battle was never about performance, but about protecting a decision that was already made? Let's be real. Dillon Gabriel was the safe choice, the clean image, the handshake with the system. He was spoken about like a future starter before he even stepped into a Cleveland facility. The media embraced him. The insiders endorsed him. The franchise gave him the upper hand. Shedeur Sanders? Emotional, flashy, popular for reasons that made traditional NFL minds uncomfortable. Too many fans, too much spotlight, too much Dion. So the moment Shedeur started winning over the locker room and the timeline, it threatened something bigger than just a depth chart. It threatened the illusion of objectivity. Because if Shedeur earns the backup job after less reps, no media backing, and starting at QB4, what does that say about the way this team and others evaluate talent. And more importantly, what else are they getting wrong? This isn't just about Dillon Gabriel throwing a pick or Shedeur staying poised. This is about trust, fairness, bias, control, and whether the best players still win, or if the game is rigged before kickoff. This wasn't just a bad debut. It was a warning shot. Dillon Gabriel came into this preseason with the full support of the media, the team, and the fans who had already made up their minds. He was supposed to be consistent, clean, NFL ready. Instead, he walked off the field with 1 pick six, 1 botched handoff, and a whole lot of uncomfortable silence behind him. Meanwhile, Shedeur Sanders, the so-called raw rookie, didn't have to throw for 300 yards or run the offense like a vet. He just had to keep the ball safe, stay poised in chaos, and show flashes of who he really is. And for anyone actually watching the story unfold, that was more than enough. So now we ask, what happens next? Does Shedeur finally get real reps with the first team? Do the media narrative shift? Do the people who've been downplaying him for months suddenly change tune? Or double down even harder? The battle might not be over, but one thing's for sure. The guy they wanted to disappear is still standing. If the Browns want to claim they're serious about choosing the best quarterback for the future, then they better start watching the film, not just the favorites.